This conference will now be recorded.
Got me to remind me to record. So these are the statements that you will be preparing on your midterm exam, these three statements. So let's look at how we will prepare these statements. Down. And this is the statement that you're going to have to, this is going to have to use at midterm. Excel spreadsheets with our journal entries, T accounts, trial balance. And then we're going to look at, using these statements, how we get, and using that trial balance, how do we move from the trial balance to our financial statements and then our closing entries, So how are we going to get that done? Let's look at trial balance exam 1 for the fall that we just finished, trial balance exam 1. And what we're going to do is to work this exam, get it done, and go through the financial statements. Now, we had a couple of people had problems, and so we're going to record these and post them so that you see. Okay, we always start the company by investing cash, and so that's a type 1. And we're going to debit cash, and we're going to credit common stock.
Which example of the quiz are you using, sir? I'm sorry.
Beg your pardon?
Which quiz are you using for the example, sir?
First one, quiz 1. So you should pull up quiz 1 as well as the spreadsheet. And you should be along with me. Thank you. So this is quiz 1. You should pull this quiz up, and you should pull up the spreadsheet and be working with me. So the amount was 100,000. And we're going to post this to the T accounts. Here we have cash, 100,000. And we're going to go over to common stock. So that's what we always do. We make that journal entry. If it's a debit in the journal entry, it becomes a debit in the T account. If it's a credit, it becomes a credit. Okay, so let's move to the second journal entry. And in the second journal entry, we purchased inventory on account for 200,000. We purchased inventory on account for 200,000. So our type here is a 12. And we're going to debit inventory. And credit accounts payable. For 200,000. And then we will next then go ahead and post this to the T accounts. Inventory was debited. We're going to debit inventory. Accounts payable was credited. We're going to credit accounts payable.
Can you go to a slide of the quiz, sir? I believe I have the wrong one still.
Okay. Trial balance exam 1.
Can you move a little more to the center, sir? I still can't see.
Okay. Trial balance exam 1.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So everyone see that one now? Then we paid dividends in the amount of $20,000. That becomes a type what?
Type 10. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to debit dividends and credit cash with $20,000, correct? And let's go and post that. So we're going to credit cash for $20,000. And we're going to debit dividends for $20,000. Journal entry 4, paid rent expense $25,000. What's our type?
9.
9. So we're going to debit rent expense and credit cash.
Professor, what are we doing? I just logged in on my phone. I'm sorry.
We are working trial balance exam 1, and we're moving to come up with our financial statements, which is our next goal. So it is being taped or recorded. And let's just go ahead and do the next journal entry, which is paid salary expense $50,000. So we're going to debit salary expense and credit cash for $50,000. Okay, so let's go ahead and post these. So we got a credit to cash of $25,000 and another credit of $50,000.
Can you slow down for just 2 minutes, sir, please?
Okay. So we're posting the last 2 journal entries. And then we're going to debit salary expense for $50,000, and I'll put rent expense here for $25,000. Any questions? Let's go on to journal entry 6, car rental revenue earned on account from corporate customers. What is our type?
Collections of accounts receivable.
We ain't collected anything. We earned it.
Can you just pause for 1 minute, sir, please? It's just a lot trying to go back and forth between my Excel sheet. Just give me 1 minute, sir, please.
No problem.
It would be a type 15, wouldn't it?
That would be a type 15. Okay, so we have a type 15. So we're going to go to the journal entry. And we're going to debit what? 15. Well, we're going to debit on a 15.
Accounts receivable.
Receivable. What we're going to credit?
Sales.
Yeah.
Credit sales. And that was how much? $250. So once we debit account receivable and credit sales, what are we going to do? We're going to go to the T accounts, debit the receivable 250,000, and credit sales 50,000. Go down next journal entry, paid on accounts payable $100,000. So that's our next journal entry. We go back to journal entries. What is our type?
8.
It's going to be a type 8.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to debit what?
Accounts payable.
Debit account payable. What we're going to credit? What we're going to credit?
Is it cash?
Who's that saying? Is it cash? Tell me something.
Hey, you forgot to put the type number for number 5.
What type is number 5?
9.
That's a 9. Thank you for that reminder. So how much did we pay on the account payable? Wait a minute, what
1,000.
I think you have number 7 for number 8.
Yeah, let me put the 8 right here. Let me switch this to 7. Delete that. So what's the amount? How much?
150.
150,000. So now what are we going to do? We're going to go to the T accounts. And we're going to debit account payable for 150,000 and credit cash for 150,000. So we make the journal entry, then we post the debits and credits because our goal is, okay, after all these transactions, how much cash do we have? So that's our goal to determine that. Plus the amount in all of the other accounts. Let's look at our final journal entry, collection of cash from corporate customer. What is our type?
3.
That's a type 3. So we're gonna go to the journal entries. Put a type 3 here. We're gonna debit what?
Cash.
Amount of time Miss Ellis work on being more assertive when she answers. But she is speaking though, so I'll give her that. But she's saying it's cash. And what's the credit to?
Accounts
Account
payable.
receivable.
Accounts receivable or accounts payable?
Receivable.
Receivable.
Goes our amount.
200,000.
So let's go ahead and post this. Debit cash 200,000 and credit account receivable 200,000. So now we have posted, journalized, posted all of these transactions, and we're ready to do a trial balance. And we're going to start with this cash account, and we're going to go and auto sum the debits and credits. And it says the debits are 300,000, the credits are 245. So our balance in this account is going to equal what?
55,000.
We're going to click on the 300,000. We're going to put a minus sign in. We're going to click on the 245, and we're going to put a parentheses. And we get 55,000. So you should be putting your equations in and getting used to do that. It can make things simple, because if you work in the problem, once you've done this, it's always going just as you work, put things in. So this is going to be going on the trial balance, so we'll put it in red. How much is coming on for account receivable?
50,000.
50,000 and a debit. Inventory.
200,000.
At 200,000 debit. Accounts payable.
Sir, how much was cash? I'm sorry, sir.
Cash was 55,000. We added the debits, we added the credits, we took the difference. Do you see that?
I forgot the rent expense. Thank you, sir.
Okay. What's going to be in accounts payable?
50,000.
Credit.
Credit. I had a question.
Okay.
So like, you know how like when we go to make our trial balance and we take like the amount from each account or whatever. So let's say like cash, for instance, like I got a credit amount for the difference. Would I like credit cash on the trial balance even though it say debit on the chart of accounts?
Correct. You know, those are the normal balances. So
Oh, okay.
sometimes things that go wrong. So that's a good question. Yes, you would. But you would also
Okay.
be looking, did I make a mistake for that to happen? But that's a good
Mm.
point.
I messed up on that type of question before. That's why I asked.
Okay. Common stock is what? $100,000 credit. Sales is what? $250 credit. Salaries expenses, what? A $50,000 debit. Rent expense is a $25,000 debit.
Did you say rent? It was debit or credit, sir?
Debit.
Can you go back to that journal entry, sir, please?
Okay. We debited rent expense, credit to cash. Remembering that when cash comes in, we debit cash. When cash goes out, you credit cash. Take, for instance, when you pay your rent next week, what's going to happen to your cash account?
It's gonna depreciate.
Go down.
It's going to go down when you pay your cash. So that's why we credit the cash. So you can look at it personally. When you pay that, you pay your rent and any expense, your cash goes down. So we're just running a business now, saying the same thing. When cash goes up, we debit cash. When cash goes down, we credit cash.
Can you go back to the T accounts on cash, sir, please?
Okay. And so we own these T accounts. Everybody else, go and prepare my trial balance, please.
It looks like you put 25,000 in credit into the debit, sir, on the cash side.
Say that again.
It looks like you put debit, or it looks like you put rent on the credit side for 25,000 in cash, sir, instead of on the debit side.
What happened to your cash when your cash account when you pay your rent? That is, we debit cash when cash goes up. We credit cash when cash goes down. So whenever you pay something, that's a credit. Whenever cash comes in, it's a debit. Is that kind of making sense now?
And no, you lost me, sir. Just go back to, can you go back to the cash part where I can just only see the cash, please?
Here's cash. Do that. Let me just.
Can you move left, please? Thank you.
Now you see it? Cash came in two tabs when you started the business and when you collected on receivables. When cash comes in, we debit cash. 300,000 came in. You paid out cash 4 times, and that's typically the case. You only get 1 or 2 salary checks a month, but you pay a whole lot of bills. So we pay dividends, we pay rent, we pay salaries, and we paid on accounts payable. So we took in 300,000, we paid out 245. That means we have 55,000 left. Any questions?
Hold on, so give me 1 second. Hold on.
Okay.
20,000. 150. 20,000. 25,000. 20,000 right there. That's my 25,000. 50,000. I got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Size. Okay. You don't have this trial balance done? So I don't have my T accounts or anything, so you all gonna have to tell me. What's the first thing gonna be on this trial balance?
Cash.
Cash is gonna be our first account. How much is in the cash account?
55,000.
How much is in the cash account? What's our next account?
Accounts receivable.
Accounts receivable.
How much is in accounts receivable?
50,000.
How much?
50,000.
50.
50,000. What's our next account?
Supplies.
Is receivable credit or debit, sir?
Debit.
Inventory next.
How much is in the inventory account?
200,000.
Oh, shit.
I tell you what, I'm out to these people. I mean, this is recorded, you know. Okay. What's our next account?
Accounts payable.
And we're following what? The chart of accounts. How much is in accounts payable?
50,000.
Next account?
Sales.
No. What?
Notes payable.
Common stock.
I think we don't think we have as common stock.
We skipped common stock.
Oh,
Oh, we
We
didn't?
have common stock.
we didn't skip it. We just get into it in due course.
I thought common stock was before accounts payable.
Well, let's look at it and see here. Your chart of accounts, current assets,
No, you're right.
long-term assets, liabilities current, long-term, then stockholders' equity. So this is what we're following. Okay. So common stock, how much is in common stock? What comes next?
Dividends.
Dividends.
Oops. Our new account that we're learning about today, retained earnings, comes next. Then let's go to dividend. How much is dividends?
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll go to what?
Sales.
Sales. How much we got in sales?
$250,000.
To 150,
250.
250. That's sales. Then what comes next? Salary expense. Was that 50,000?
50,000.
Then what?
Rent.
5,000. Are we in balance? All we have to do is what? Come down here. We can auto sum both of them together. And it looks like we're in balance. Any questions? Any questions? So now we're ready to do our income statement. We're ready to do our income statement. So here's the income statement. We're going to come in here and pick up the sales. We're going to put it right here. Realizing that income statement includes all amounts from sales on down. Income statement includes all amounts from sales on down. So this is why you have to have them in the right order. We don't have any sales returns and allowances until we get to, I think, trial balance exam 6. So our net sales are 250. We didn't sell anything, cost of goods sold 0. So our gross profit is 250. Now we need our operating expenses. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come in here, copy those expenses, copy. So you have a lot of them. It's gonna be a big help. And we can paste them right there. We didn't take the total, 75,000. So what is our net income? How much net income do we have?
Hold on a second. Can you go all the way back? What was the total for the credit and debit, sir? I'm sorry.
400,000.
Thank you, sir.
What
To
is
answer your
our
question, wouldn't it be 325,000?
Better put a big. You always are going to subtract the expenses. You're also going to subtract the cost of goods sold. You don't add your expenses to revenue, you subtract them. So what is our net income?
$225,000.
Let's put a formula in. Equal.
Mr. Boyd,
Yes.
what does net income really mean?
Revenue less expenses.
Okay.
Would it be 175?
It's 175.
So we can click on the gross profit. minus the operating expenses. $175. So you personally, if you had 2,000 in earnings in a month and you spent 1,700, your income left over was what? 300, right? So the same thing here. How much revenue did we have? What were the expenses? What is our net income? That is an income statement. So you can see most of the work has been done. That's why we put so much time in on the trial balance. So you know now when I get ready to do an income statement, I got them in order. I'm going to pick up my revenue, then I'm going to pick up all my expenses and subtract them. That's my net income. Now, we don't have any beginning retained earnings, but given that I have net income, how much of this net income did I retain in the business? Let's see if I can get this line to move over. So I had 175,000. I'm gonna go over here and pick up my dividend of 20,000.
Can you move your screen a little to the center, sir, please?
So we're doing that, but we're looking at where these items come from. Okay, so it's 20,000. So our ending retained earnings is gonna be what?
155.
155. So we earned 175,000, but we paid dividends to the owners of 20, and so the ending retained earnings is 155,000. So that's how that statement looks all the time. Once the company's been in existence, like next year, 155 ending becomes the beginning of next year.
Excuse me.
In general, this is how the statement looks. And it's one of the easiest statements to prepare. Yes, was that a question?
How do you keep it from doing the symbols? Like when I tried to add 175 to the add net income, it like does the
Matching.
yeah. How do you keep it from doing that?
You make the lines wider.
Oh, okay.
You come up to the top, make the line wider.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a good question, good point. Because I don't want you to send it to me with no numbers. So actually that's Excel, and it's one of those things, but it's a simple little fix. So we now have learned how to prepare an income statement. We learn how to prepare a statement of retained earnings. Income, that's how much income we had, these bottom items. Statement of retained earnings, how much of this income that we keep in the business. Now we're ready to go to do a balance sheet. And when we do that balance sheet, that's where our permanent accounts are going to be. And all of the accounts above retained earnings go on the balance sheet. So the accounts from sales on down go on the income statement. The accounts from retained earnings on up go on the balance sheet. So that's why the tremendous focus on telling you to put your accounts in order. So now we have to see, are we balanced at the end? So we didn't do any balancing here, but now we have to do the balance sheet, and we'll be doing it at the end of the year. And whenever we do a balance sheet, we always are trying to prove that the assets equal I'll just put equal in L equal the liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So that's always what we're trying to prove when we do a balance sheet. After we've done all of this, are we in balance? Do the assets equal liabilities plus common stock? So we're going to work on this December 31st end of the year line. And notice what I've done on your new Excel spreadsheet. I put all of the stuff in here. So you just are kind of filling in to get to your balance sheet. So hopefully this will be helpful. And you put in the accounts we have. We go up to trial balance, we have cash and account receivable. We're gonna copy those and put those right here. So we have the cash and the receivables. The inventory is down some, so we'll copy it. We go to the inventory line and we paste it. And so our total current assets $305. And we don't have any long-term assets in this problem. So the total assets is 305. Now we got to come down here and get liabilities and stockholders' equity and come up with the same number when we total them. If we look up here for liabilities, accounts payable is 50,000. That's the only one we have. So we're gonna debit account payable, put the account payable in here on the credit side.
Where is this Excel spreadsheet? Because this mine don't show up like that.
I was about to ask the same thing.
Same.
A new Excel spreadsheet in course content and replace the old one. So if you go to course content, the new Excel sheet in there looks like this.
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
always updating to make things easier for you all. So the total current liabilities is 50,000.
Okay. Let's see.
We didn't have any long-term liabilities. See, I was working last night, so while you all were rested and celebrating the end of the test,
Thank you,
I
sir.
was working to see how I could get you all to prepare these balance sheets and do these next steps. So our total liabilities is 50,000. Everybody see that? We only had one accounts payable. Then we got to get stockholders' equity. And right now in stockholders' equity, we only have common stock of 100,000. So if I add the liabilities and the common stock, and I add them all together, I'm at 150. But I got 305 up here. What's wrong?
Retained earnings.
Okay, good. Goldman, that's a good point. Retained earnings. So yes, our beginning retained earnings is 0. But we've done the statement of retained earnings, and it says the ending retained earnings is 155,000. So we got to copy the retained earnings that's on the statement of retained earnings, going from 0 to 155. And then we got to go in here and put in that new retained earnings. And now you see they're now balanced. They are now balanced. So in this short span of time, we've gone from a trial balance to an income statement, statement of retained earnings, and a balance sheet that balances. That will be your task on the midterm. That will be your task on the midterm. Now, let's look at one other thing. Let's go back to our T accounts. Oh, let's see if I can get them back down.
So what's it supposed to equal after you put in 155,000, sir?
I think it's 305, correct? Let's go to 305. So your total assets got to be 305, and your total liabilities and stockholders' equity have to be 305, which equates to this equation: assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity. That's what the balance sheet proves. Now let's go back to these T accounts. You see here permanent T accounts and temporary T accounts. Now, when you get your bill from TSU at the start of the year and you pay it, they close out your account because they want to, in the spring semester, to send you a new bill so you can, so you can pay that one. So your account, your billing account is a temporary account each semester. They put a billing amount in there, you pay it, they close it out. Then they go to the next semester and do it again. Okay, for the trial balance in our accounts, we have permanent accounts and temporary accounts. After we have used these accounts, we close them out. That is, after we prepare all the financial statements, we got to close these accounts out. And we've got to get this retained earnings to be, what did we say, 155,000, was that it? We got to make some journal entries so retained earnings will be 155,000. So that's the purpose of closing entry. These accounts are just temporary until we can get an income statement prepared. But these are all temporary retained earnings accounts. And we got to make some closing entries so that the retained earnings is 155,000. So I hope that's what I had on this trial balance, 155,000. So let's look at closing entries. And closing entries are like anything else, any other journal entry. Once you make them, you got to post them. And we don't want a lot of entries in the retained earnings accounts. We only want to see two things: earnings and dividends. And so in the first closing entry right here, we're going to debit sales for $250 because we've used it, we finished with it. We're going to credit this temporary holding account income summary for $250. That's closing entry 1, debit revenue and credit income summary. When we go to the T accounts and post this,
Can you go back to the first thing you did, sir? I didn't see any of what you did, sir.
you can see the journal entry.
Well, the closing entry, whatever you was doing, the screen was all the way to the side. I couldn't see what you're doing, sir.
Okay. So let's see if we can get back to the trial balance. Where is the screen located now for you? Is that better? Is that better?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So now we want to post this entry. And so we're going to go to the T accounts. See if we can get those kind of centered. And so first thing we're going to do, we're going to go over here and debit sale, because that's what we did in the journal entry. And once we debit sales, we've closed it out. Debit sales. Then we're going to come over here and credit income summary. So that's journalizing closing entry 1 and posting closing entry 1.
Wouldn't that be the one like when we like debited on sales? Do we like cross it out with that little thing that they do on Excel? Like would they have a line through that one?
Yeah, you know, I can do that in Word, but Excel don't like you to scratch things out.
Nah.
So why did you debit sales for the income statement?
We debited sales because we want sales to be 0 for 2021 so we can then record the sales for 2022. It's just like your account with the university. Once you pay it for the fall semester, they close it out because they're going to send you a new account, a new statement in January. So once you paid it, it's not needed, and they don't need that anymore. They got the money. So same thing with sales. Once we have done the income statement, this is a temporary, all of these accounts are temporary retained earnings accounts. We don't need them anymore. We're going to close them all out to 0.
So this is for the ending of it, like to wrap it all up.
Just to wrap it all up. Let's go to closing entry 2. In closing entry 2, we're going to debit income summary, and we're going to credit these 2 expenses. Copy. Then we're going to go in here and get the amounts. Yep, we're finishing it up. And so debit's got to equal the credit, so the debit to income summary has to be 75,000. Now, every company in the world does this. Large, small, Microsoft, mom and pop. Every company in the world does what we're doing now. Journal entries, trial balance, financial statements, then they close out the old year. So let's go to the T accounts now. And we're going to post this. So now we're going to credit salaries, 50,000, closed it out. If I was in Word, I would just scratch them. We're going to credit the rent. We're going to close it out. And now we're going to debit income summary for 75,000. So we don't want all of these type transactions in retained earnings. Now let's go back to.
What do you do to rent, sir?
We credit it. If it has a debit in it, we credit it because we're closing it out. just like your bill with the university. Okay, so let's go back to our trial balance. Get this centered. We're ready for closing entry 3. Closing entry 3, the amount is always the net income, our net loss.
And then do we debit 75,000 for the income summary on the T account, sir?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
So closing entry 3 is always the net income. So we're going to debit income summary. And we're going to credit retained earnings.
Could you like label that like for number 3? Could you label that
Right
net
here.
income?
3 right here.
Right. I know what I'm saying. Could you label it net income?
Yeah, that's why it's on the net income. It is.
Oh, my bad. I didn't see it. My bad. I had to slide over one thing. My fault.
Yep. So I got it. That's why I placed them where they are. So 3 is on the net income.
I ain't see. I thought it was like a whole different slide or something.
Nope. Well, there's a different slide for it, but I decided I would put it here because I think it would make more sense than if I just went to a separate sheet and started making journal entries. You can see where they're coming from.
Right. This one better.
A students. If this is a loss, then these accounts will be reverse A students. I'm just warning them so they know that if it was a loss, it will be reversed. But since it's income, we write on that line. So it's going to be whatever's on this line for net income. So let's go and post this now. Go back to the T accounts. We now debit income summary for what? 175. So we posting the entry. And we're going to credit retained earnings for 175. So we're still not at our 155. So what must our 4th closing entry be? The dividends. And notice where I am, right on the dividend line there. So we're going to debit retained earnings for 20,000, credit dividends for 20,000. So hopefully you see the pattern what I did. Rather than having these on a separate sheet, I just put some space here so you could better see where the numbers were coming from. We go back to the T accounts and we post, we debit retained earnings 20,000 and we credit dividends 20,000. At this point, every temporary account is now 0.
Can I see your retained earnings on your temporary accounts on your T account, sir, please?
Okay. See it now?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Can you go back, sir? I was still looking at it.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it a little larger. Okay. So we only want to see one number in retained earnings account: income and losses and dividend. This is a key number, and we'll pick up on it next time. But whether a company is profitable or not depends on whether it has a credit balance and retained earnings. So we don't want any chance for error.
You go back to the trial balance sheet.
Go back to the trial balance. Here's a trial balance. Let's look at the trial balance. So we got the journal entries. So what has happened is that we have closed out, and I just put them in red. Everything below retained earnings has been closed out. And retained earnings, and I'm just going to stick it here now, has a balance of $155,000. So after we do all of this,
Get back over so I can see 1 through 4.
1 through 4. So everybody should be working these and putting these in Excel. Everybody should be working these. Are there any questions?
Can I see your income summary on your T accounts, please, sir?
You want to see the income summary on the T account? That's a good one to see. Then we started off that balance of 0. Now we got the 155. The ending balance on the statement of retained earnings, and which is the ending balance on the balance sheet.
Do we have to put the income summary on the T account as well, sheet, or no, sir?
Income summary is right here.
All I see is retained earnings, sir.
Below it.
Thank you, sir. Give me 1 sec.
No problem. Now, for your good studying pleasure, I have put a copy of this problem in course content. So you'll be able to listen to the lecture and you will have a copy of this worked out just like this in course content. And on Tuesday, your homework due at 2:30 is what?
This.
What is your homework due at 2:30 gonna be? Trial balance exam 2. So you are to go through all the way up to steps 8, skipping 5 and 6, and have ready, have turned in at 2:30 what we have here. Are there any questions about that?
You said on Tuesday, right? Thursday.
Tuesday.
So Tuesday, just turn in what we doing, right?
Yep, you're gonna turn in what you're doing.
But for quiz 2, right?
That is trial balance exam 2. That's what you're gonna be turning in to me.
So on Tuesday,
Where can we find the recordings? Is it
Beg your pardon?
I was saying, so we turn this
I was
on
asking
Tuesday, and
where
we have a
can
quiz on Tuesday?
Well, since you requested it, Daniel, we'll have a quiz just for you. Just since you requested for everybody, I think that's a good idea, Daniel. We'll have a quiz on Tuesday on doing this. Everybody thank Daniel for this opportunity to have a quiz to test how we did over. Right. Right, Brooke?
Now I'm real confused, sir.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's
Wait, we
gonna
have
be
a
no.
quiz on Tuesday?
No, we're
He was
not.
joking.
Nah,
He's
he's
joking.
I need to know what the fuck is going on Tuesday. What's going on?
He's joking. We're not having a quiz on Tuesday. We're gonna turn in the trial ballots
Yeah, the
exam,
homework.
and that's gonna be it. Okay.
Yeah.
The one we just
We're
did.
not gonna go
That's
overboard.
it. That's it, Daniel. That's it.
All right.
The one we just did is the one we turn on Tuesday, right?
What
Trial
we're going to
ballots
do
exam.
is turn this in on Tuesday, and we're going to do what, of course? Go over it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I want you to work on it because I could work it again for you on Tuesday, and you would not know much more. But if you worked on it, you'll be able to see where your problems are.
You said that what we worked on today is going to be in course content, the recording of this lecture.
The recording will be on my YouTube station. It's a 4K recording, so it won't fit in Blackboard. They don't have enough room for it, so that's why I had to create the YouTube station. So you go to JBoard Accounting, there's a YouTube station. Just click on it, and it'll come up.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And so we will proceed on working the trial balance exam until we get through them and until you are comfortable with working them. Okay? So we're going to work on all next week. And just like most of you all can now do a trial balance, by the end of next week, you are going to be able to do financial statements and closing interest. That's the goal for the end of next week. So we'll be able to handle that by the end of next week?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. Don't be able to do that. Now, you remember those 40 journal entries, correct?
Yeah.
So you know by midterm what's going to probably be required.
All 40?
How many journal entries on that sheet?
78.
Okay.
Like 78.
So there'll be varying amount, but we'll give 78 to those A students. We don't want them to get bored.
No, I'll take the 73.
The what?
I'll keep the 73. I don't need the extra few, 5. I'm good.
Well, you want to be an A student or a B student?
A B. I'm aiming for a B. I'm fine with the B. A sounds like too much work and I'm tired.
I mean, let's think about it. What did y'all know about accounting on day one?
Well, this is my second time taking this class, so
Same.
That's only because you didn't come to class. So let's be fair about it.
Yeah, you are.
Come to class, so you're doing much better than that. But just like you doing well now, you would have done well before if you came to class.
For sure.
All right. But you knew very little. And now most of you can make journal entries, post a ledger, and do a trial balance. And about half of you are using Excel. And I want everybody using Excel.
I got a problem with using Excel because I don't have it on my computer. I only have Microsoft.
Seems like I think the university has a version for students. Check with OIT on that, but I think that they are supposed to be providing you with Excel, I believe. Does anyone get this through the university?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause when I post mine, I have to just create the graph myself because I don't have access to Excel on my computer. I had emailed them and told you that.
You just
Yeah, but
sign
I'm
to
just saying
Microsoft.
that the university provides opportunity for you to do it. And so what we're trying to do is, Excel is just a universal thing that's used. And so make every effort, to try to utilize Excel. Because what we're trying to do is, what are the tools that we need in this virtual world that we in that's going to help make us successful? Excel is something your employers are going to be expecting. They teach Excel in high schools. And so don't think that, you're not supposed to know Excel. So just make up your mind. I'm going to learn how to do Excel, work to get it on your computer if you can. You have computers in the lab. But go and embrace the opportunity to be proficient in Excel. You're making your degree more valuable. You're making the JHA degree more valuable for everybody in here. That's what we're trying to do. So anyway, it's nice and sunny outside. You all have a pleasant weekend, a restful weekend. I was pleased with the results on the exam, just not that everybody didn't use Excel, but you did have your accounts in general in the appropriate. So we're moving as we should, and we're working on at least half A's and B's, maybe more, if you all take up the challenge. And if we have more A's, if Brooke would just say, I'm gonna do more. But we are teaching for success, working and adjusting. And I want at least half the class to have A's and B's. At least half. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So let's stick with yes.
So on the trial balance exams with the 40 questions that we did, I didn't do all of them because there was some journal entries I didn't understand. Like for one of them, like I wouldn't know how to make the entry for one of them that say like paid 20,000 principal, 10,000 interest on notes payable. Like I don't know how to make a journal entry for that.
Well, we'll work on that, but we have worked on those and we've had quizzes on those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I understand like it's probably like
it's simply a matter of debiting note payable for the principal amount, debiting interest expense for the interest amount, and adding the two together and crediting cash. So you had paid 20,000 on principal, 5,000 interest expense. You would debit note payable 20,000, debit interest expense 5,000, and you credit cash 25,000.
Okay, so would it be a type and on?
So you hadn't gotten to the ones you don't know yet. When you're in the first 40, we covered all of those. But I don't want the A students to get bored, so I got some extra ones in there for them and the B students. If they get bored, they just have their hands on their face and said all of this. So got to challenge them a little bit. But anyway, the thing is, we want to make sure everybody has a chance to pass, but then we want to make sure that A students have an appropriate challenge so they're ready to become CPAs when they graduate.
For sure.
So we have to push them a little bit harder so they can become CPAs. Okay, so you all have a pleasant weekend, and if anything comes up with that problem, email me. We can meet sometime on Monday, or possibly for class if there's any issues with getting it done. But by the end of next week, most of you are going to be able to do this. So what we did today, by the end of next week, most of you are going to be able to do it. Then some will be kicking and screaming the day after that, the week after that. But others will be making a decision. I'm going to work all 73 and skip the midterm, or I'm just going to kind of slack. I don't want to do, I only want to do some of them. And I'll take the midterm, so people have that option. Okay? Okay. So we'll see you all next week. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Professor Boyd, I still need to talk to you.
Okay, I'll stay on.
And after she gets done talking to you, I need to talk to you about something as well.
Okay.
Oh, you can go first because I was trying to do my tutoring with you. You said we can meet at the same time today.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. It'll just be quick, Mr. Boyd. So on one of my assignments, I had got a 0. Like everything was right with the assignment. I just didn't show my work. So would it be okay if I go back and do the work so I could get full credit or even like partial credit?
Would be partial, show the work, and maybe partial credit.
And I'll get partial credit.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're gonna try to be lenient, this first grading period. No leniency after this, but this first grading period, we're gonna be lenient.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, quick one, sir. Sorry. So what we're gonna submit on Tuesday is what we just did right now, right?
Correct.
Okay. Not exam 2, just this one.
You're gonna go to trial balance exam 2. And you're gonna go through all of the steps from 1 through 8. You're gonna do exactly what we did today,
But on
but
exam
trial
2.
balance exam 2.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Lauren, let's see, I don't know, Pickens and Dyer, are you all here? So sometimes they sign in, Lauren, and then they.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna just get started. I don't know if they're on there, but I wanted to show you something. So I had exam 1, and hold on, I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay, let me go to screen. Do you want me to pull it up?
No, I want to show you mine.
Okay, well, I can possibly pull it up.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just had a question for number 5. So I did number 5, and I noticed with yours, you put, I can't remember for number 5 which you just put, but I wrote it down. But I put sales, I think you put sales expense, and I put sales salaries. So
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I was like, oh God, the wording is wrong. Okay.
Let me just see if I can find your principles of accounting. 1 section 3. Grading. All right. Go. Trial balance. Cross. Yeah, you're fine. It should have been sales salary expense, but you got the account number, so you're fine.
Okay. And 2, remember last time we were doing the tutoring thing, you told me I have to worry about it for now, but I was trying to work ahead on the questions with the car company. So I just got a few questions about I put stars next to them, so 62, 65, 66, 67, and 69.
Okay. We're gonna cover some of those.
Okay.
So you need to wait till I get to them.
You sure it's not gonna put me behind? Because I wanted to have the option of doing it ahead of time, and then I'll have to do the midterm, like Joy was telling me.
Don't worry.
Okay, because I don't want to be behind now.
All right, we'll look at it. We'll go from there, okay?
Okay, one more thing, and I swear I'm gonna let you go. I know you're ready to go. if you don't mind going over this new stuff today, like I just don't want to do it wrong, and I'm starting to get the hang of really just starting to get the hang of for real. I'm feeling comfortable with the T accounts and stuff like that, and doing that on my own. But now I kind of understood what you were saying, but then when like you kind of were being interrupted, it was hard for me to like get back on track of what you were saying, because like they were kind of like, what is this, what is that, you know? So I was
Monday at 3.
meet with you Monday at 3.
Yeah.
Don't forget about me now. I don't want to be waiting on you and you forget about
Email
me.
Email me around 2 o'clock and remind me. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Boyd. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I looked at yours. I know you had the issues initially, but you're looking fine.
Okay. And Joyce said she's updating the grades and stuff, right? Because I'm excited to see where I'm at right now. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Chris.